All right, let's jump right in. The world of digital creation, games, movies, all of it, it's about to take this gigantic leap forward. Today, we're going to break down Unreal Engine 5.7. And trust me, this isn't just another update, it's a whole new playbook for what's possible in real time. And this quote right here, this really gets to the absolute heart of it. This isn't just some slick marketing line, it's the mission statement. The whole goal has shifted. We're moving past just imitating reality to actually building it, rendering it with a scale and detail that honestly, just a few years ago, felt like total science fiction. So just keep that idea in your head as we go through this. We're not just talking about prettier graphics. We're talking about tearing down the walls that have always separated our world from the digital ones we love to create. We're going to look at how this update just systematically smashes through three huge barriers that have been holding creators back for decades. Those are scale, fidelity, and complexity. So let's kick things off with the first one, the massive challenge of just building huge worlds. I mean, think about the biggest open world games you've ever played. Every single tree, every rock, every little patch of grass, odds are someone had to painstakingly place it by hand. Building on a truly massive planetary scale, that's always been this monumental, almost impossible task. Well, the solution to that scale problem is something called procedural content generation, or PCG. And instead of an artist having to place every single rock, PCG lets them set up rules, and then the engine just intelligently fills in these massive worlds. It totally changes the job. The artist goes from being a laborer to being a true creative director of the environment. And this right here is the big news. PCG has been around, yeah, but as an experimental thing. In 5.7, it is officially production ready. That means it's stable, it's fast, and it's ready for the biggest studios in the world to start using on their major projects. The training wheels are officially off. And what's so cool is how simple they've made this incredibly powerful idea. With this new PCG editor mode, an artist can literally just draw a line where they want a forest, pick the kind of trees and rocks they want, and then just watch. The engine generates this dense, natural-looking forest right there in real time. It feels less like work and more like magic. Okay, so we can build these enormous worlds now. But how in the world do you make them look real without, setting your computer on fire? That brings us to our second barrier, fidelity. The quest for rendering impossible levels of detail. And this slide really shows you the before and after. The old way to handle a dense forest involved these clunky workarounds called LODs, where you'd see objects literally pop into higher detail as you got closer. It kind of breaks the immersion. But now, with the new Nanite foliage system, that's just gone. You can have millions of leaves, millions of pine needles, all rendered at once with a stable frame rate. It's an absolute game changer for creating realistic nature. But realism isn't just about how many trees you can render. It's about how things look when you get right up close. And that's where Substrate comes in. Think about a real car's paint job. It's not just one color, right? It's a base coat, then maybe a metallic flake layer, and then a glossy clear coat on top. Substrate lets artists build materials exactly like that, in layers, to create stuff that looks and feels totally authentic. We're talking everything from car paint to the subtle sheen of sweat on skin. And of course, none of this amazing detail matters if you can't light it properly. Megalights is this new system that just blows the old limits away on how many dynamic, shadow-casting lights you can have. It lets artists just be way more creative and playful, basically painting with light without all the old technical handcuffs. And just to give you some perspective here, we're not talking about a small 10% bump. The documentation literally says a magnitude greater number of lights. That's at least a tenfold leap. Just imagine a neon-soaked city at night, or a magical forest with thousands of glowing fungi. This completely changes what's possible with lighting in real time. So we've built a massive, hyper-detailed, beautifully lit world. Now we need to put people in it. And this brings us to what might be the final boss of computer graphics, creating believable digital humans, and finally closing that creepy, uncanny valley. So the MetaHuman toolset gets a ton of awesome upgrades to tackle this. For example, that real-time facial capture from a mobile device. Think about what that means. An actor can perform, and their digital double mimics them instantly, capturing every tiny little expression. Then you have new in-engine hair simulation for more realistic movement, and improved foot contact, so characters finally stop looking like they're ice skating across the floor. Each one of these little things chips away at that uncanny feeling.
So, what does all this tech actually do? Well, it means characters just feel more alive. They can have more personality with classic animation tricks like squash and stretch, and they can react to the world more believably with real physics. They just feel less like digital puppets and more like living, breathing beings.
All right, so we have the power to build these huge, detailed worlds and fill them with lifelike characters. But what good is all that power if it's so complicated that only a genius can use it? That brings us to the final barrier, complexity, and how Unreal Engine 5.7 makes all this power more accessible. Okay, imagine you're a developer, right? You're working on your project and you hit a wall. You have a super common question like this. How do I make my character actually push a box or react to an explosion? In the past, this meant you were about to lose hours digging through forums and documentation. And you'd be looking for a little piece of code that looks something like this. Yeah. And look, if you're not an expert programmer, that can be super intimidating. It's enough to stop your creative flow dead in its tracks. Well, check this out. There is now an AI assistant built directly into the editor. You can ask it that exact same question in plain English, and it won't just tell you the answer, it can actually generate the code for you. It's like having a senior developer sitting right there with you, ready to help, so you can stay focused on the fun part, creating.
So, let's pull all these threads together. We've seen how they're breaking down the barriers of scale, fidelity, and complexity. Let's just step back for a second and look at the big picture. What does all of this incredible technology actually mean for us?
Okay, so let's recap the big takeaways, nice and simple. 1. We can now build way bigger worlds using PCG. 2. We can fill them with mind-blowing detail thanks to Nanite and Substrate. 3. We can populate those worlds with characters that are more believable than ever. And 4, maybe the most important part, we can do it all faster and easier because an AI assistant is there to help.
And it's so important to get this. This isn't just about making the games we have now look a little bit better. These tools, these are the fundamental building blocks for entirely new kinds of entertainment, for virtual experiences we haven't even thought of yet.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The people who actually made the engine are basically telling everyone to just dive in. They say that exploring these tools for yourself is the best way to really wrap your head around what's now possible. The barrier to entry has never been lower, but the ceiling for what you can create has been blasted into orbit.
And really, that's the thought I want to leave you with. When the technology finally gets to a point where we can create worlds and characters that are pretty much indistinguishable from reality, the only limit left is our own imagination. So the real question is, what stories are we going to tell next?